Yo, welcome back to the TV program. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart. Both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, I am going to be reviewing Eyes of Prey by John Sandford. This is his third Prey book. You know, he has written 37 books in his Prey series starring Detective Lucas Davenport. This is book 3. I've reviewed on my channel maybe 5 or 6 of them. I know I've reviewed the last few of them that came out, and I've reviewed books 1 and 2. So now we're to 3. This came out in 1991. Let's review the cover first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. I've loved this cover. I don't know why. I just absolutely adore it. It's just so simple. An illustration by Stephen Stroud. Just 2 eyes. It's creepy. It could be a horror novel. In fact, there's a foreword in this novel where John Sandford says, well, actually the foreword is in the paperback version. It's not in the hardcover version, but I had a copy of the paperback version that I looked at. And John Sandford says himself, his first Prey book, the first book he wrote in the Prey series, had a nasty villain, very, very delicious villain. He liked that. Then in the second novel, the villain was a little too likable. I mean, the villain had actual realistic motivations to kill that the reader was kind of on board with. And he was like, he didn't want to do that again. He wanted his villains not to be likable. He wanted to create a bad villain for the third book. And he says to this very day, this is the worst, most disturbing villain he's created ever. And he knows this because of all the fan letters and emails he gets where people are like, that's the most badass villain you have in the whole 37 book series. It's just bad. It's just terrifying. And I will tell you why it's terrifying. Because this isn't a happy ending type of thriller. This is a type of thriller where everybody goes through a lot of heartbreak. Even the detective Lucas himself suffers heartbreak. And they don't necessarily really do a very good job. Well, they try. They try to solve the murders. But, I mean, do they or do they not? I mean, this is the question of this book. Can they solve them? I mean, people just get killed over and over and over and over in this book. And it's just like the detectives just can't keep up with it. It is just relentless. Now, the killer is Carlo Drews. And he is a deformed guy. And as he kills people, he scoops their eyes out. Literally scoops their eyes out. With a spoon, with a spork, with whatever he's got handy. And he takes those eyes of the murder victims to his friend, Dr. Becker. And when John Sandford says that he's created his most evil villain, he's not just talking about Carlo Drews. He's talking about Carlo Drews and Dr. Becker as a team. They are together his most disturbing creation. And they really are, because the reader knows from the get-go who these people are, who the killers are, what their game is. And it's up to Davenport and his crew to do the solving of these murders. And like he just kills and kills and kills again. Few of the things I love about Lucas Davenport, especially, and part of that is because this book is set in 1991, is the computer he uses. So, there are police departments are behind the times. I mean, some police departments are still using typewriters, for Christ's sake. But in 1991, they were on the cutting edge. Lucas's team was on the cutting edge of computer usages. And as he's describing his computers and the old-timey computers and what they were not capable of, I was just laughing. He also uses these computers because Lucas Davenport sort of moonlights as a role-playing game designer. Yeah, he's into Dungeons and Dragons, and he designs professionally. He makes money at this, designing these role-playing games. And he's specifically the game that really he sells a lot of is the Civil War Gettysburg role-playing game that he's got. And so he goes into each, and I think that in the early novels of the Prey novels, you get a lot of this background into Lucas's history and how much he loves doing these role-playing games and stuff like that. As the books progress, the first 10 or so books, it's mentioned quite a bit. But then maybe Lucas Davenport grows out of that or something, but because it kind of becomes not mentioned again. But I actually like rereading these because I remember when I read them for the first time back in 91, that's partly why I liked Lucas Davenport, was because he had this side job of just sort of being a nerd. And that was cool to me. And that's why I was drawn to these books, and it's fun to reread them and remember and recall that part of his personality. And also his love interests and things like that, and how his life goes. I mean, that's part of why you follow a specific detective through 37 books, is because of all the things you get to learn about his life. And through each book, he progresses and progresses, or digresses. In the Matthew Scudder novels, that guy just keeps becoming more and more of an alcoholic, and in the Robert Crayass novels with Joe Pike and Elvis Cole, you get to learn about all their different relationships and girlfriends, and same thing with Lucas Davenport. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, like I said, and I don't want to spoiler too much, but Lucas Davenport does suffer major heartbreak in this book, and it's central to the plot and the murders and all that stuff. And it's just makes this, but I agree. These two killers, Carlo Drews and Dr. Becker, and their whole scheme that they got going, it's almost foolproof, and it's almost impossible to detect or even to figure out, and they are getting away with it left and right and over and over and over, and it's just, like I said, it's breathlessly relentless. And you can feel the tension in the police department and the investigators and everything that's going on. It's like, how is this? This just keeps happening, and we have no idea where it's coming from. And anyway, what a great book. What a great book, Eyes of Prey. Probably just absolutely almost a perfect mystery. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. It's just literally that good.